Hey folks, welcome back. So today we have this long anticipated video. Remember this good old HK USP that we imported a couple months ago, and we did an initial unboxing review. Well, it's back, and unfortunately this isn't going to be the review that I was hoping to have, at least, because generally my MO is we get the new product, we kind of do an initial unboxing, and then after that we can, we use it for a little bit. We use it for about a couple months, and then we come back and say, hey, this is what we feel, based on its performance, blah blah blah, and we can really give a better, review of the performance and things that show up and things that aren't obvious when you pick up something right out of the box. Now, unfortunately, there was some issues, and I'll cut to that video segment right there, and we'll take a look at that. Alright folks, so today I'm going to show you a little problem behind this USP right here. If you'll remember, this was the same one we've got about a couple of weeks ago, well, not more than 2 months ago, and this was the HK USP chambered in a 9x19 millimeter. At least that's what it's modeled after. Unfortunately, we've been having some issues with it, and this time I can demonstrate to you folks what's going on. So let me show you what's the issue here. So there's a rounded chamber, and let me demonstrate this. Oh, look at that. So it's a jam. It looks like a double feed, maybe. Let me see here. Okay. Let's try that again. Oh, still wouldn't go into battery. What happened there? Okay. There's a round in the chamber. Make sure it's all cleared. Alright. Huh. That is weird. Still won't go into battery. That is bizarre. Okay. Well, I'm kidding. So I know this is a problem that's going on. Basically, the loading nozzle here, the little piece on the loading nozzle that's supposed to push each of the BBs up and into the chamber, has broken off. So now we have to order new parts for this right now, which really sucks because I've literally only put through about maybe like, I want to say like less than 500 rounds to this gun, and already we're having this issue. So I know in the original video it had some issues in terms of reliability, but man, that sucks. Fortunately, I was able to track down the company. I called Umarex. They are based in Germany, it looks like, but then they have a branch in the United States in Arkansas, so they were able to direct me basically to Evike. And then so that's a local distributor in the US, and so they have some parts that are available, fortunately. So that's something that we should be able to fix this gun now. So we'll see if those nozzle parts are really compatible, because the part that Evike sells is chambered for, or designed for, the 45. This one is the as you can see here, it's the 9mm one, and I can't imagine the parts being a whole lot different internally, at least. So it's not even like a compact versus a full size. They're all full size. So I think they should be the same. So we'll order those parts, and once those come in, we'll try to swap them out and see what they can do. Alright, so here it is, all disassembled. This is the part, the small little part that's broken. Now the nozzle itself looks totally fine, but the key part that broke is right here. So normally you're supposed to have, let me see if I can show you, there's a little extension at the bottom right here that takes it out a little bit further. So it's like a little tiny piece, a couple, like 1 centimeter right here, and that little square is going to push the rounds up, but somehow that snapped off. I was shooting, and then all of a sudden this double feed happened, and I think that double feed ultimately, with a lot of force, that ultimately snapped that piece off. So I don't know if it was just necessarily the poorer quality of this piece that caused this to break. I think what happened was this gun in general suffers from some reliability issues, and because of that, it puts it in a position where it causes some jams, and some of those jams can be very detrimental to some of the parts because it puts a lot of stress. Imagine here, you got a tiny piece right here, right? And the slide is cycling back, and it's kind of like a violent action, right? So cycling back and then slamming forward right there. And when it's slamming, it's supposed to go smoothly into place, but if it doesn't, you know, because there's a double feed for some reason, it's going to break right off. So it could be because of that, or it could be a combination that this is, you know, poor quality plastic. I'm not really sure. So we're going to order another part from those online retailers and see if it really is something that will fit with this part. Because again, this is the international model. This isn't the one that's locally sold within the U.S. But again, I think the parts should be okay. So hopefully it'll work out. But yeah, this is one of the challenges of when you buy guns that are really just not you know, mainstream. They just aren't as common. So you get what you pay for. Well, I take that back because I paid a lot for this, and I'm not getting the best quality right now. So we'll see what those comes through, and hopefully the parts are compatible, and we'll just see if once we can replace them. Let's see how this gun performs again. And see if the reliability is still an issue, because if that's the case, I would imagine the same thing is going to happen again. Fortunately, this part is not too expensive, but so we'll see. All right, thanks, folks. I'll see y'all next time once this thing is back together again. Okay, so now that you saw the whole problem, what we're going to do is we're going to try to fix this. So the thing that let's rule out a couple of things. So when I chased around the company, I called, you know, Umarex, try to get different numbers. There's the market in Europe, and then they had an office in the US. And then the one that I initially got, which was the one they recommended, was this kit here by Elite Force that was supposed to help replace the model. Again, that's model number right here. If you can see it, it's 2275002. That does not work in this model. All the USP lines are slightly different, at least if it's the one that's chambered in 90 millimeter. This one right here is supposed to be, and I'll open this. This is a brand new one. I never really opened it, but I knew it wasn't going to work because they're different models. But you know, I can't really return it. Well, now I can for sure, but you know, I figured it would be good for the review here. Comes with a bunch of other stuff here, but this is the one that will fit the HK 45 chambered in 45 caliber, and you can tell here it has the. Let me point this out here. If it will zoom, you can. You might not be able to see right there, but let's see here. I'll take a still photo so y'all can see it, but it says H&K USP, or sorry, HK 40 or USP 45 right there. If you'll notice, this is the one that originally came from this gun right here. That's the stock model that came in. And remember, you'll notice that it broke, but I found a piece on the carpet and I eventually super glued it. I haven't used it again, but I super glued it, so it looks like it's normal. But if you look carefully, obviously there's you know, bits of let me move that out of the way so maybe we can get it in focus this way. Well, anyway, there's bits of glue right there. Anyway, so this is how the two stack up together. As you can see, they're clearly of different dimensions, so you really can't use this, unfortunately. So this is a big old waste of money, even though Umarex directed me to them after I gave them the model number. So to be clear, this is only going to fit the one in the U.S. market. It won't fit the import model from this one right here. So the next best thing is I chased down a market that said, you know, Umarex VFC HK 45 again. Still problematic because it has that HK 45, and this is, again, remember, this is 9 millimeter. But you know, it looked like it was the closest I can find in terms of what it looks like, and I bought 2 of them, okay, because I figured, you know, hey, what the heck, maybe, you know, it's a part that's very rare, and they kind of at least look similar enough in terms of size that it looks like it can work. The original one doesn't have the HK45 marking right here like it did. Or sorry, I keep saying the wrong thing. It's USP 45. The one replacement I got from VFC from, I think this was from Europe. I can't remember what the website was. It was like POW or something. I can't remember, but it was from France. So I have to import this all the way out there. And this one doesn't have the HK or the USP 45. In terms of the dimensions, everything looks the same. So I have this one installed in this gun right here already. Now watch what happens when we try to fire a round. Okay, watch this. There's already a round in the chamber. You can see that right there. So watch what happens when we shoot. All right. Try to switch cameras here. Oh, you know, and that's it, right? So that's not supposed to happen. So obviously you saw, and if I do that multiple times again, the same thing will happen. And this is not really the fault of the replacement part yet. At least we'll find out soon enough. It's because inside this part right here, you'll notice there's basically nothing in there, right? That's how it comes, nothing. The original part has a bunch of parts in the middle, which I didn't really realize, so I now have to take that part out and put it into this one again. Another thing that's to note though is that on the stock part right here, there's this little plastic part right here that helps retain the spring that helps basically retract the nozzle when you cycle the slide. That spring right there is held into place by that little part right there. That actually is missing from the replacement nozzle right here. So notice how that's missing right there. So when you order this, you're really getting nothing. You're just getting the nozzle by itself. So don't throw this out just yet. Make sure you keep some of the parts. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to knock this piece out right here. Unfortunately, it looks like it's able to fall out easily. But we're going to have to knock that out, put it back in here, and then we're going to have to take this pin out and put all the parts that are in here back into this part. So it's going to be a long, lengthy video. So we'll see. We'll come back and we'll fast forward through the process if y'all are interested in seeing that. We're going to see if we can take out the nozzle and take all the parts from this old part, this old nozzle that worked, aren't broken, and then replace it with a new one. Okay, so this kind of served as a as a field stripping video as well. So remember how you're supposed to take it out by lining these 2 parts up with the grooves here and then pulling it out. An easier way, and you know, it's unfortunate because it happens this way though, but if you just turn it sideways and then just pull it slowly, it will drop out, which is, you know, see, which is unfortunate because, you know, it's good for the field stripping purposes, but you know, in a real game, that's problematic. I'm not a huge fan of that, but right now it's helpful. All right, so we'll take the slide off, drop it down, and I was able to finagle a little bit to get the spring guide and everything to come out a little bit more easily, but it's still not as easy as like the Glock models, I would feel. Okay, come on, dropping that down. Okay, all right, here we go. Barrel out. All right, so now comes, we'll get rid of this for a minute, and so because all the things that we need to replace is right here now in here. So take out my screwdriver. Find the smallest Phillips head right here. And we're going to start undoing these screws right now. Okay, so once you got the 2 smaller screws out from here and here, there's one more larger screw in the back. just take that one out, and then those are the 3 that are really holding the blowback housing unit in place. All right, so those, don't lose those screws. Probably gonna be a real pain in the butt to find again. So this is on this side. That's where the spring, the retent, or I don't know what it's called, but it's a spring that basically allows the blowback housing or the nozzle to cycle back. So otherwise it would be stuck like this, and when the slide comes back with an open ejection port, you'll see the slide, and you don't want that, right? So you want the spring here to pull it back, so that way when this ejection port is open, it will slide back like that. And that's the point of the spring. I'm sure you already know that, but you know, just to point that out. Anyway, so don't lose that spring. It's under a lot of pressure right now, so let's make sure we don't lose it. There we go. Okay. So kind of similar to the VFC, take a look at this right here. So notice that there's a little line in which the spring, it's kind of like a spring guide sort of, where the spring rests on that part. So kind of like the VFC or the Elite Force has a little resting portion for the spring to stay on. The opposite end of it is where it's supposed to meet on, this is where the plastic portion is supposed to lie. So it's supposed to go right on top of that like that, and it helps retain it. So before I didn't know that, and so when I had it right here, I didn't put that part in there, and so I was kind of just leaving it like this, and it was kind of causing some issues because obviously it slips and stuff like that. So something to keep in mind. Okay, so let's take this out. See, nothing on the inside, so that's probably why it wasn't working. So hopefully with me installing these parts, it should work. And again, this is the first time I'm doing it, so I'm kind of talking as I'm going along. I don't even know if these parts will work, but I suspect that it will. So let's see if we can get that to go through. Okay, I don't have a punch tool set with me right now, so I'm just going to use this staple here that I found from, that I removed from the original kit that didn't work, so I'm using that. And let's see if that will help me punch this pin out. Let's see here. Okay, I don't have a, okay, that staple was helpful, but it was still difficult. I do have a Allen key set right here, so I'm going to use this, and it should be able to punch. Yeah, that's a lot easier. Okay, so punch that out. Oh, something just shot out. Okay, I should have realized that. There was a spring in there. I gotta go find that spring. Shoot. Okay. Alright, so that gave me a little scare here. I thought there was a spring, but I watched the replay clips again because I could not find it. And as it turns out, actually, the only thing that really shot out of the gun, or sorry, the nozzle, loading nozzle, was this plastic piece. It hit the little oatmeal can I'm using as a stand for this camera right here. But if you look inside, let me grab a little flashlight here. The spring is actually in there. So see a little silver thingish? That's the spring in there. Whereas this the empty one right here doesn't have anything in there. Alright, so let's see if we can try and basically, but still, we got lucky this time, but just know how we're going to remove that spring now. Let's see here. I guess you would just knock it down. There we go. Alright. So as an FYI, this spring, let's see here. I thought I was going to use this spring that came from the kit, the Elite Force one. I think this is the same one that you use for the KWA series one, but they're not quite the same, as you can tell from here. Diameter-wise, this spring is larger. So really nothing from that KWA kit works with this one, unfortunately. Alright, so we took out the spring. This is the broken one. No, let's not get these confused now. Was this the broken one? Yeah, this is the broken one. This has a little super glue marker here, so we'll leave this one aside. And, oh, since we're already here, so let's try to, remember that part right there, the little plastic piece? So let's try to knock it out carefully with the stapler, or the staple here. Push it out. Hopefully it works. There we go. See, now it looks just like that with other piece. And there you have it. This tiny piece here will now go onto the new one. And so that will go on this side right here. It's a simple, okay. So I finally got it to be snapped back on right there. Just be careful of that because it's a very small piece, and I don't think if you lose it will be a big or a deal, or if it's going to be the end of the world, but I finally was able to get it to snap back on right there. So now the blowback, the nozzle spring basically will fit right there, and there will be a little kind of like a mount or a spring guide so it doesn't like flop all over the place. Alright, so that's over. So let's see here. Let's try to put it back, drop the spring in here. Let's see here. Okay, just like before, it's in there now. And now this part, I wonder how this part was assembled. So it seems that it was just, this is where the nozzle entry is at the bottom right here. So it looks like it was put in this way, and it's because the grooves look like it was aligned that way too. So let's drop this down as so. Okay, gonna have to use this little Allen key here to turn it. Okay, and then this thing right here just goes as a cross to hold it in. So I think I'm going to use my index finger to hold it down while I try to insert this. Does it go deeper, or how far does it go? Maybe it was... there we go. Okay, so not too bad. It looks kind of like how it was before. So I just basically pushed it in now. So now that it's flushed, and I think that's pretty good. Okay, seems. Make sure the two sides are the same. Yeah, they are definitely the same dimensions and everything like that. Okay, so I got high hopes for this. Let me just make sure this is pushed a little bit further in. There we go. All right, looks good. Okay, so now let's put it back into the slide, and we'll see if this will work. Okay. So this has always been a tricky part, though, and I'm not gonna lie, this has always been the toughest challenge right here. So basically, you have to put this spring into the guide rod right there. Well, that's not the hard part. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, actually, why don't I put this part? Well, you can't even do that. I have to put it in. You have to kind of assemble the whole nozzle. The assembly first. Alright, so now the assembly's here. Okay, I'm going to attach the spring guide here on this end, so that, oops, it's attached now there. And then I'm going to try to, yeah, I'm not sure what the best way to order it. Let me try to do the other way. Let me try to put it this way first. Gonna compress the spring a little bit, and be very careful. We don't want to lose any parts now. Oops, I assembled it wrong. That's why. So this part's supposed to face you, so it's supposed to go down like this. Okay. Then now we're gonna try to get the spring intact. Okay, I'm gonna feed in the spring right there. Okay, looks good. Okay, shimmy its way down. You know, assembling it with the little plastic piece that holds the spring in is actually a lot easier. There we go. So you kind of, yeah, without that spring piece, it was a real pain in the butt. So to make sure that the spring is really working before we tighten the bolts, let's hold this down, and then let's basically pull this nozzle out and see if it retracts on its own. Very good. So it does it with no issues whatsoever. All right, so we know we installed it correctly. But watch out for that little the rear sight actually. So I got to lift it up a little bit to push the rear sight into place. Oh man, this is a very complicated gun to put together and take apart. It's just let's see here. Come on. Let's see here. So I'm not an expert in this. I'm just like going through it for the first time with y'all right now. So there we go. Okay. Sights are they secure? Oops. Okay. They're locked in place. Looks good. Okay. Hold it tight. We're starting to screw it back in. And we should be good. So big screw in the back, and then the 2 small screws in the front. Alright, so I'll just fast forward through this. Alright, so sorry about that. The camera cut out for a second. Well, I ran out of space on my phone, and that's why I have a second backup camera running. But anyway, so I put the screws back on. Again, it was a lot easier to put in the second time around, since the thing I was going to say is that having the little plastic piece in there really helps put it back together a lot easier. So basically, put the spring into the spring guide that's attached to the slide first. Then slowly insert the blowback housing unit and attach the other end of the spring into the blowback nozzle right here, and then you can wiggle your way into the slide, and it works pretty nicely. Okay, so that looks like it's all been put together. We're just going to reassemble the gun now. And then, oh, as a side note, I bought a second barrel replacement for this, which, man, this gun is costly. But I have a second barrel replacement for it, and it actually doesn't. It only comes with the H&K 9mm engraving. It doesn't have this. It's not laser etch, I don't think. It's painted in, I think, but it's the serial number here is missing. So you only get the serial number if you buy it directly from the gun itself. But anyway. So far the barrel hasn't broke yet, so we are doing okay so far. I bought the second barrel because what I was going to do is if this slide or this nozzle does not work and I cannot get the gun to fire, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that as a part 2 of my dry firing series test, where we're going to try a test fire dry firing on a actual gas blowback that uses the conventional mechanism rather than the current test we've been running for about a couple months now with the CO2 blowback version, which is a little bit different. Anyway, that's only if this isn't gonna work, but let's hope it does, and I think it will. It looks like all the parts are in play. So let's see here. Alrighty. Assemble it back to top. Okay. And then, of course, the pin. And be very careful. Remember, there's that pin that keeps this spring right here. The point of the spring is to keep it so that the lever doesn't just stay up. It gets pushed back down, basically. At least when there isn't an empty magazine in the gun. So let's see here. We'll let it drop into place. There we go. There we go. See, so let me demonstrate how it works. So I'll use the other camera. So if it's upside down, it doesn't lock into place. Now, if there's an empty magazine, of course it'll lock back because the spring on the magazine is going to push it. But like in this case, because the spring's there, it's not going to lock there. So if I push it up, oops, hold on. See, it will go back up because of the spring there. So you don't want to lose that spring. It's not the end of the world again, but it's just gonna, I guess you can't shoot upside down. Not that you can, because the gas doesn't allow you to shoot upside down anyway, but I don't know, just something to think about. All right, so let me fill this up with gas again, and we're gonna try it again, and hopefully this works now. Alrighty, so now we're back. We got a loaded magazine. I put about 5 rounds in there. Cycle the slide back. By the way, I know I talked extensively about this last time. Oh, I can't talk today. About the slide and the safety mechanism in which you can drop the hammer. It's kind of interesting though, because and those of you folks who are more familiar with like double single action guns can teach me something new here. But if you pull notice how the hammer's in this position right now, right? Before it was like this. We decocked it and it dropped, okay? But it's still sticking out a little bit. If I pull the trigger again, it drops even further in. So I don't know if that's a feature of the HK USP or of single/double action guns. Please let me know. I would love to know more about that. I've been trying to do some more research, but I've been getting kind of mixed answers. So I don't know. Anyway, no rounds in the chamber. Let's see here. All right. Let me change the camera angle so that we can definitely get a good view here. Okay. We'll get a vertical view and a side view as well. Yes, it fires. Oh, yes. Okay. Side view as well. Yes, it fires. All right, so we fixed it. Okay, so even though this isn't going to be the now we can finally begin to start reviewing this gun. So we can I'm going to start check back in about a month or so. We're going to start using this, run it through a bunch of different tests, and really evaluate it. Original part just broke on us. I was able to super glue it together, so technically I guess this would still work, but I don't know how strong that Gorilla Glue is. Anyway, I'm glad it's back in action now. To answer the question for you folks who do end up getting it, remember, this set does not work. It only works therefore it seems that the KWA USP model chambered in 45 caliber is not compatible with the H&K VFC model that's chambered in, well, it's all chambered in 6mm, but the logo here for 9mm, the one that's supposed to be chambered in 9mm, they are not compatible, as we saw today, with the size differences. And we're only talking about the nozzles here. We're not talking about other parts. But since the nozzle is probably the most likely part to break at this moment, they are not interchangeable. What is compatible, though, if you can find the part, because I think I bought the last 2 in Europe, I cannot find any more. It's this one right here. VGC6PIS020. Maybe those are O's. I don't know. But it says Umarex VFC HK45 CT original parts, and the part number is 01-11. There we go. I bought 2 of them, so hopefully they'll work. But thanks a lot, folks. Hopefully that's been really helpful. I'm really excited that this finally works again, and this isn't like a really expensive paperweight, and so hopefully that was a little bit informative. Kind of a good idea of how to field strip and everything, and kind of how to be careful when we're taking stuff apart. This gun is actually really complex, and I can't even tell you how to begin to field strip the bottom, because look how that looks, the whole decocking mechanisms and all that stuff. I imagine that this is one of the more difficult lower receivers or lower frames to disassemble. So I have not worked up the courage or the guts to disassemble that part yet. We just want to focus on getting what we have to fix the gun, to get it running again. So we've done that, we've accomplished that, and looks like we're able to start testing it now. So alright, well, check back in a couple of weeks and we'll have the review of the actual product, assuming things don't break. Anyway, give us thumbs up if you like our channel, subscribe to our channel, or give us some more suggestions or anything like that you want to know about. Thanks a lot, folks. See y'all next time.